You know that feeling, right? You're having a perfectly good day, you scroll through social media for just a minute, and bam, suddenly you feel like you're falling behind. Well, that feeling has a name, and honestly, it's a trap a lot of us are caught in. But today, we're going to dig into an ancient solution for this super modern problem.
Yeah, this quote right here, it gets to the absolute heart of it. That feeling is so common, isn't it? That sudden, sharp sense of dissatisfaction that just pops up out of nowhere, that's the sting of comparison. And man, it is one of the biggest thieves of contentment out there. Okay, so let's break this down. What exactly is this trap? I mean, why does just looking at someone else's life, even for a second, have such a huge and usually negative effect on us?
And here's the core of the problem: comparison culture. And what I love about this definition is that phrase, curated highlight reels. Think about it. We're not comparing our real, messy, day-to-day life to someone else's real life. Nope, we're comparing our behind-the-scenes bloopers to their polished movie trailer. And that's a comparison you are literally never, ever going to win. And this leads to what the source material calls the indifference trap. The whole idea is that the goalposts for your happiness are always on the move. So let's say your happiness depends on having a better car than your neighbor. What happens when they get a new one? Or what if your friend gets a promotion? Suddenly the goalpost for your own happiness just got moved by somebody who doesn't even know they're playing your game. It's just exhausting and you can't win.
Okay, so if that's the trap, how in the world do we get out of it? Well, this is where a really old philosophy comes in with a surprisingly fresh solution. See the Stoics? They don't suggest we just try to play the game better. Now, they tell us to change the rules of the game completely. And this right here, this is the core idea, laid out perfectly. The Stoics basically split everything in life into two buckets. In the first bucket, you've got the only things that are truly good or bad because they're the only things you have 100% control over: your character, your intentions, your actions. And in the second bucket, you have, well, everything else: wealth, status, fame, even your health. The Stoics called these preferred indifference, which is just a fancy way of saying, yeah, it's nice to have them, but they aren't the measure of a good life. They're just the raw material you have to work with. So here's the absolute punchline. Your worth isn't decided by your job title, or how much money is in your bank account, or how many likes you get on a post. All that stuff, it's just external noise. True goodness, the real measure of success, is found only in the state of your own character. That's it. Okay, so this sounds good in theory, right? But how do we actually use this? I mean, if we're supposed to ignore the external scoreboard everyone else is looking at, what do we replace it with? Simple. We build our own internal scoreboard, and it's the only one that actually matters. This table breaks down that mental shift perfectly. So on the one hand, you have the external question: did I get the promotion? Is that really in your control? Nope, not really. There are a million things that could influence that decision. But then look at the internal question: did I do my best work today? Is that controllable? You bet it is. 100%. You're the only judge of that.
And here's a super practical way you can start keeping score on that internal scoreboard, like tonight. Instead of counting your promotions or your followers, you ask yourself simple questions at the end of the day. Was I a just person today? Did I respond to a tough situation with courage? Was I temperate in my habits? These are the real wins. And you know what's so powerful about this? The source calls the result unearned contentment. I love that phrase. It's unearned because you don't have to wait for some external result. You don't need your boss's approval. You don't need your friend's validation. You feel that satisfaction the moment you do the right thing. The contentment comes from your effort, not from the outcome. It's immediate.
All right, let's dig a little deeper into this idea of unearned contentment. Because this is really the biggest, most powerful payoff of focusing inward. It's not just about you feeling better. It completely changes how you see everyone else around you. Think about it. When we're stuck in that comparison trap, seeing someone else succeed, it kind of feels like our own failure, doesn't it? We see them as a rival. Their win feels like our loss. It's this toxic, zero-sum game that just creates envy and resentment. But the Stoic approach, it flips that script completely. When you stop playing that game, you stop seeing a rival. Instead, you see a fellow human being. Someone who's just trying to figure things out, fighting their own battles, just like you are. So how do we actually make that shift from envy to understanding? Well, here are the steps. First, you just have to remember that everyone, no matter how polished their life looks on the outside, is struggling with something. That success they're showing off, it could be hiding some serious pain. And when you remember that, you can start to see them as a fellow traveler on this journey, not an opponent.
And from that place, you can stop being jealous of their results and maybe even start to emulate their good habits, if they have some worth copying. So what's the big takeaway here? The cure for this whole comparison culture thing isn't to get better at it, it's to stop playing the game altogether. Log off those external scoreboards. Just turn them off and start keeping track of the only score that truly lasts, the quality of your own character. And that leaves us with one last question for you to think about. Just for a second, forget about everything you can't control. What's the one score, the one action, the one intention that you absolutely can control today?